Hi, beloved. It's Hannah TK. I have a question for you. Would you ever let the mailman into your bedroom? Today, I want us to talk about an important topic, namely discretion. Discretion is one of those words that we've all heard before but may not be particularly familiar with. It has to do with discernment and the capacity to make wise choices regarding our words and our behavior. It also has a meaning of avoiding making offense. But today I want us to focus on that aspect of discernment and wisdom regarding our words and our choices. This particularly has to do with our choices in relationships. Here is a brief passage from Isaiah chapter 39, and we'll read verses 1 and 2. At that time, Merodach Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent Hezekiah letters and a gift because he had heard of his illness and recovery. Hezekiah received the envoys gladly and showed them what was in his storehouses: the silver, the gold, the spices. He showed them the fine oil and his entire armory and everything found among his treasures. There was nothing in his palace or in all his kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. These envoys were from the kingdom of Babylon. At this point, they're posing as allies. Hezekiah, in an effort to people please these Babylonians and get their support, he opens up his kingdom and shows the envoys all his treasures. There's a similar aspect that we demonstrate when we lack discernment or discretion in our lives, which is what I'd like to discuss today. I come across many people who have trouble trusting because they've trusted people in the past and they've been let down. I want us to talk about 5 things today that I pray will be a guide regarding discretion or discernment in this matter. The first one has to do with an analogy that I find very helpful in my life. Think of a house, and that house represents your heart as it pertains to relationships. In your house, which is on a certain road that some people know of and some don't, certain driveway and house that some people know of and others don't, nor do they have any business knowing of the location of your house. Other people in your life you allow to come right up to your driveway and have whatever interactions you can have with them there as they're appropriate. Other people you could let up to the porch. Others maybe into your entryway. Others are welcome to come right in and sit in your living room and have a wonderful visit with you and your family, or just you yourself, for whatever length of time you deem appropriate. Other people you welcome into the kitchen if you're a lady, or if you have a she shed that's an art room that you enjoy, or craft room, you can take a friend in there and have a wonderful time. The guys might take somebody out to their shop and sit down and enjoy a drink and talk shop. But that's a more intimate area that not everybody gets to go to, and that's a special privilege for people to get to go. Now, I started off by asking whether you let the mailman into your room. There are very few people who are allowed into your bedroom. That's a matter of discernment and discretion for us to know that no, not everybody gets to go to our bedroom. That's a private inner sanctum that is very limited insofar as who gets to visit there. Same thing with your heart. There are people who have no access to your heart and should have no access to your heart. There are people who know where you live. There are some who are allowed into the driveway. Others are allowed up to the porch and maybe even into the entryway of your heart. Others are allowed into the living room of your heart to sit down and have a wonderful conversation and interaction with. Others you might even invite into the she shed of your room or into your workshop. Others, a very small select number, may even be invited into your room from time to time. I love this analogy because, and this is the first point that I need to drive home, is that there are people, especially some who were either neglected as children or violated as children, who really struggle with the boundary line regarding who to allow how far into your heart. And I love this picture because it's a practical picture that we can ask ourselves, how far am I going to let this person into my life and for how long? Here are a few points that I want us to think about. Point number 2 is that it's up to you to draw the boundary regarding where people will be allowed in your house. It's not up to them to march right in and go wherever they want. It's on you to determine and enforce how far people will go. It means playing the victim and having a victim mentality if you believe that people can just walk into your life and go wherever you want. Truly, people will treat you however you allow them to treat you. So it's imperative that we be on guard at all times and allow people to go only where we allow them to go in our hearts. The second piece regarding that boundary is that it's a flexible boundary. This boundary means that there are people who may have been invited into your she shed at one point, but based on behavior in the past, these may be people that now need to stay in the driveway. Or these are people who may not have been able to have access even into the porch, but they have demonstrated reliably over an extended period of time that they are trustworthy. And so they're welcome now to the porch from the driveway for a little bit. And if they can demonstrate appropriate behavior, then we can allow them into the entryway. So it is really important that we realize that these are flexible boundaries. Just because things happened at one point or someone was allowed into a certain area doesn't mean that you're stuck with that person coming and going into that space. The other piece that's important, which is point number 3, has to do with the space itself. There's a misconception that it's all or nothing. Either that I don't want anything to do with this person, or they have full access to my house and my treasures, just like King Hezekiah demonstrated here. That's not the case. These spaces in our hearts are not a matter of all or nothing. There are gradients that you get to allow. So it's not a matter of people that come into my life have to go into my bedroom and know all my business and know what I'm about, especially before they have proven themselves worthy of being in a relationship or trustworthy to be in a relationship. So it's important that we realize that it's not a matter of all or nothing. There are many steps and categories and different areas, just like we have different rooms in our house. There are different rooms in our heart that we allow people into. Point number 4 has to do with the aspect of time. It is imperative, if we are to grow in discretion, that we take time in developing and nurturing relationships. It is important that we not push for deeper levels of relationship before the relationship is even able to withstand that. So slowly we build, through experience, relationships with people that will sometimes last a very short time, sometimes a medium length of time, and other times years and years. In the same way, I'm saying that just because we meet people and they seem like wonderful people doesn't mean we let them right into the inner sanctum, or because other people say they're wonderful and trustworthy people. It is very imperative that we take our time to study people and find out if these are people that the Lord is bringing into our lives for a particular meaning, and then determine with wisdom, with discretion, with discernment, how far we're going to allow these people to go. It is a common practice of mine when I meet people not to make rash judgments about them. So if you say to me, "Isn't so and so such a wonderful person?" Um, you're really going to enjoy meeting them, or whatever type statement people may make. And I frequently think, well, give me a year. I'll tell you in a year whether this is a wonderful person or not. And so within that year, we will have had enough experiences, we will have had enough distance and enough closeness, and a lot of circumstances will have happened in life that will help me determine if this is a person I need in my life and in which room I need to place this person in my heart. Number 5 and last, the role that these people play in our lives. The first aspect of that is how far, based on this person's role, is it appropriate for me to allow them into which room in my heart? The mailman has no business in the bedroom. That is completely inappropriate. The envoys in Hezekiah's case have no business in his treasury. We need to guard our pearls. We must not be casting our pearls before swine. And so it's really important that we know each person's role and what role it is they play in our life, role we play in their life, before determining which room we will let them in and for how long. The other piece has to do with why that person has that role in your life. So just because you have a parent or a sibling or a child doesn't automatically mean that they have access to any room in your house. So their office doesn't necessarily determine or equate to what room they are allowed in. Their behavior is what wins them access to various rooms in your house. And so if you've had a falling out with a close friend or a relative, they're now playing a different role in your life. You can continue to love them, but you need to love them from whatever distance you determine will be healthiest in your life. So I pray that these few points will be a great guide and a set of pillars to build when it comes to building discernment in relationships in your life, so that you can have healthy relationships and a healthy sense of discernment. God bless you as you move forward in this, and hit click and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.